In the year 2347, far out in space near the edge of the Orion Arm, a small human station floated in silence. It was called K7, a quiet outpost built to watch the stars and listen for signals from unknown worlds. The crew was small, just 6 people. Jason Bell was the lead scientist, a calm man with tired eyes who had spent 10 years staring at empty space. Kate Morrow was the engineer, sharp and careful, always doubting what she could not see. One cold morning, the alarms beeped softly. Not loud, not urgent, but enough to make Jason sit up in his chair. The system had caught a signal. Not random noise, not a starburst. This was different. It repeated every 7 seconds. At first, it sounded like static. Then it formed words. "Do not awaken the humans." The voice came in many languages, some old, some dead. Then it switched to clear, perfect English. Both Jason and Kate heard it through their headsets. They looked at each other, unsure. "Is this a joke?" Kate asked, checking the system logs. "No fake signal can run this long," Jason said. "It's real, and it's coming from the Perseus void." The Perseus void was a dark place, empty of stars, where even light seemed afraid to go. Deep inside it, something floated. An old ship, long broken, orbiting a black hole. Scans showed it was not human, not any race they knew. The signal carried data, maps of space, dates and warnings. It told of a race called the Vera. They had lived thousands of years ago. They built great cities across the stars. But then they vanished. The message said they didn't die. They chose to sleep. And they left one rule behind. Never wake the humans. "That doesn't make sense," Kate said. "We're already awake. We've been awake for centuries." "Maybe they don't mean us," Jason said quietly. "Maybe they mean something else, something older." He pulled up old files, stories from Earth's past, legends of people who could move mountains with their minds, who spoke and made stars blink. Myths, most called them, but the Vera didn't think so. The message ended with a final line. "They dream. If they wake, all ends." Back on Earth, the Interstellar Council met in secret. Some said ignore it, others said investigate. Curiosity won. A ship was sent. The mission was simple. Go to the Vera ship, find the truth. But Jason sat alone in the dark, staring at the last line of the message. He felt a chill, not from cold, but from fear. Something had been asleep. And now, someone was going to wake it. The ship Ares 1 moved slowly through the black emptiness of space. It was small but strong, built for long trips and dangerous missions. On board were 12 people. Captain Daniel Reyes sat in the front, eyes fixed on the screen. He had seen war, lost friends, and knew when something felt wrong. This mission felt wrong. Behind him, Luke Hogan checked the engines. He was young, good with machines, and always asking questions. Next to him, Nina Carter studied the data from K7. She was a biologist, but this was not biology. It was mystery. Paul Green, the team's language expert, kept replaying the signal. "Do not awaken the humans," Paul said again. "But we are humans. Why warn us about ourselves?" No one had an answer. After weeks of travel, the ship reached the Perseus void. There, floating near a black hole, was the Vera ship. It was huge, shaped like a broken spiral, black as night. No lights, no movement, just silence. They docked carefully. The air inside was cold, but breathable. The walls were covered in strange signs that seemed to move when no one was looking. Gravity felt normal, too normal,
like it was made for humans. Deep inside the ship, they found a large room. In the center stood rows of glass pods. Inside each pod was a tall, thin being with pale skin and long fingers. The Vera. All asleep, all dead, maybe. But one pod was different. Bigger, stronger, covered with warnings. Paul read them slowly. We sleep not from weakness, but mercy. Do not repeat our mistake. Nina scanned the pod. This thing, it's not just holding someone. It's locking something in. Daniel stepped back. We should leave, now. But Luke touched the control panel. Just a quick look. What's the worst that could happen? The moment he pressed it, the room shook. The lights turned red. The pod cracked open with a deep sound, like a sigh after long sleep. A voice filled the room, not loud, but everywhere. You have broken the seal. The air grew heavy. Paul fell to his knees. Nina dropped her scanner. The walls flashed with images. Earth, long ago, but not as they knew it. Cities floating in the sky. Oceans turning to glass. People with eyes like stars. The voice spoke again. I am Kalen, last watcher. The Vera were my children. We were made to guard the sleep. You have failed the test. Daniel grabbed Luke. Why did you do that? Luke could only shake his head. I don't know. It was like something told me to. Kalen's form appeared, not solid, but made of light and shadow. The humans were not your ancestors, he said. They were your creators. And they are not gone. They are dreaming. And now they will wake. Outside, the stars flickered. One by one, they went dark.
The air inside the virus ship grew thick and hot. The walls pulsed like a heartbeat. Paul clutched his head, hearing words that were not spoken out loud. Nina backed away from the open pod, her breath fast. Daniel shouted for the team to return to the ship, but the doors had sealed shut. Kalen stood in the center of the room, not a man, not a machine, but something older. His voice came from all around. Long ago, before stars had names, humans walked the galaxy. Not in ships, not with tools. They walked with thought. They shaped worlds with dreams. One child laughed, and a planet turned to glass. One man wept, and a son died. Paul shook his head. That's not possible. We're just people. You are their weak form, their final experiment. They made life, then left it to grow. They built us, the Vira, to watch over the universe while they slept. They said, do not wake us. We are not kind when we dream of war. Nina looked at the broken pod. So we're not the first humans? You are the quiet ones, Kalen said. The ones who forgot. The ones who live small lives. The first ones, they were not like you. They were storms, gods. They left because they feared themselves. Daniel stepped forward. Then why wake them? You already have, Kalen said. The seal is broken. The signal is sent. The recall has begun. Suddenly, the floor shook. From the black hole outside, a beam of light shot out. Not light, but something deeper. Space bent. Stars flickered and moved, as if rearranging. On Earth, deep under the ice of Antarctica, a metal door opened. In the ruins of old Tokyo, a statue stood up.
Beneath the red sands of Mars, long-buried machines turned on, and in space, other species saw it too. On a planet far away, a race of blue-skinned beings watched their sky change. Their leaders screamed orders, but no ship could run fast enough. Near Saturn, a mining colony saw a shadow rise from the rings, a shape like a crown glowing with fire. The Ares 1 crew looked at their screens in horror. Signals came from every dead world, every forgotten moon, all saying the same thing: the humans are coming. Paul whispered, "We didn't wake them, we just pressed a button." And that was enough. They sleep across time, not in one place, but in many. And now they hear the call. Nina felt tears on her face. "Can we stop it?" Kaelin looked at her with empty eyes. "No, the dream is over. The gods are waking, and they will remember what you did." Outside, the black hole pulsed once, then went silent. The universe held its breath.
The sky across the galaxy began to change, not slowly, but fast, like a switch had been flipped. Stars that had shone for millions of years blinked out. Others appeared where none had been. Planets shifted in their paths. Oceans on faraway worlds boiled for no reason. Time itself felt broken. On Earth, people looked up and screamed. The moon split into 3 pieces, then became one again. In New York, the ground rose and formed a tall tower of black stone. No one built it. It just came. On Mars, the Ares 1 crew watched through their ship's window as a huge shape rose from the dust. It looked like a city, but no roads, no lights, no sound. It just stood there, waiting. Luke sat at the control panel, hands shaking. "This isn't space breaking. It's like someone is fixing it, rearranging it." Paul stared at the data. "It's not random. It's following a pattern, like a map, like a mind is thinking." Nina whispered, "The humans, they're not coming. They're already here. They're everywhere." Then the voice came. Not in words, not in sound. It was inside their heads, soft and deep, like a memory from childhood. "We remember." Daniel fell to his knees. He saw flashes. His mother holding him as a boy, the first time he saw space, the war he fought on Titan. Every moment of his life played in 1 second. "He's reading us," he said. "No," Paul said. "They're remembering through us." Across the galaxy, alien ships tried to run. Some blew up as space twisted, others simply vanished. A race of insect-like beings on the distant world dropped to their knees and sang an old song, one they had never learned, but suddenly knew. The Vera ship began to break apart. Kaelin's light faded. "He do not hate," he said. "He do not punish. But they are awake, and the universe is not as they left it." Nina looked at Daniel. "What will they do?" "Maybe nothing. Or maybe everything." Then the stars moved again, not in fear, not in anger, but in order, like a hand smoothing a wrinkled sheet. A new sun formed near Jupiter. A ring of light circled Earth. The oceans turned clear and blue, brighter than ever. And from the silence, a single thought spread through every mind in the galaxy. We did not leave to be forgotten. We left to protect you from us. No ships attacked, no weapons fired, but every living thing knew one truth now. The humans were not the weak ones. They were the first, they were the last, and they were back.
The world did not end with fire or war. It ended with silence, a deep, heavy quiet that spread across the stars. The Ares 1 crew sat in their ship, floating near Mars, watching the sky change in ways they could not understand. The planets moved slightly, like they had been adjusted. The sun shone brighter, but not hot. The air on Earth felt clean, like after a storm. No one was hurt, no cities were gone, but everything was different. Daniel Reyes stood at the window, his face pale. "They're not punishing us," he said. "They're fixing things." Nina sat beside him, her hands in her lap. Maybe we were broken. Maybe the universe was not working right. Paul looked at the stars. Or maybe they just don't care about small things like war or fear. Maybe we're like ants to them now. Back on Earth, people stepped outside. They looked up and felt something pass through them, a soft touch, not of skin, but of thought. Some cried, some laughed. Some fell to their knees, not in fear, but in peace. In a small town in Kansas, a little girl pointed at the sky and said, "Mommy, the sky smiled at me." And it had. The humans, the old ones, were not seen. They did not walk the streets or speak with voices. They were everywhere and nowhere, part of the air, the light, the silence between heartbeats. Luke checked the ship's systems. We can't leave. The engines work, but space. It's like it won't let us go, like it knows we don't need to. Kalen was gone. The Vera ship had turned to dust. But his last words stayed in their minds. They do not hate, but they will not be forgotten again. Days passed. No governments gave orders. No wars were fought. People stopped arguing. They started listening. To each other, to the wind, to the quiet voice that wasn't a voice. One night, Daniel looked at the moon and saw a face in it, soft, kind, familiar, but not from any person he knew. It looked at him, just for a second, then faded. He smiled. Nina asked, "Do you think they'll stay?" "They already did," Daniel said. "For thousands of years. We just didn't see them." The universe grew calm. Ships from other worlds stopped running. They turned back, not in fear, but in hope. They sent signals not of war, but of welcome. The humans had not returned to rule. They had returned to remember. And this time they would not sleep long, because now the galaxy knew the truth. Humans were not the weakest species. They were the first and the last, and they had come home.